Alright everyone, how's it going today? So if you've been playing Elden Ring, I'm sure there's been some problems with choosing your build. There's a lot of different options. I mean, you got so many varieties, from just your basic mage to a spell blade, all the way up to even the samurai. One build I want to focus on here today is going to be a holy build, more specifically, a confessor holy build, because there are a lot of different routes to go when you're thinking of choosing holy. However, what I've found is the confessor build is usually the easiest to be able to get the most bang for your buck when it comes to a holy build. So, without further ado, let's jump right into kind of what my build looks like, some stuff I've played with before, and kind of what I landed on as being one of the most powerful options that I've found. Alright, so as I mentioned, when you are starting out, a good option is to kind of go with the confessor. It just gives you a high amount of faith right off the bat, as long as a well-balanced mix of pretty much everything else, including strength and dexterity, which you will need depending on kind of the route you want to go for a holy build. For the holy build that I'm about to show you, this is kind of an important aspect of the build, as you'll be using a lot of shield. You'll be using some incantations, so you'll basically need a seal as well, and then your main hand weapon there too. So choose confessor. It's just kind of the best route, but you can also go with pretty much anything else. Prophet's good and astrologer's good. However, you might just get a little too much intelligence, or it's just basically some stuff you don't need, which you really can't get rid of until late in the game, without providing any spoilers. Alright, so basically I'm just going to show you quick what I got rolling. So I've gone through a lot of different options as far as my holy build goes. The one I've ultimately landed on is, so I prefer all heavy armor, right? It's just going to give you the highest amount of poise, help you with your survivability, and ultimately with the holy build, that's kind of what you want, is that survivability. You want a good mix between healing and between damage reduction, and I just found that basically going with full heavy is the best of both worlds on that. So right away, basically I'm just going to walk you through what my equipment looks like. So I've gone between two weapons, and I will recommend either two of these. The first weapon that I kind of landed on would have been this Halo Scythe, right? So the Halo Scythe you can get pretty, I don't want to say early game, but somewhat early game. You can farm it from right here in Caelid. Basically, you would want to start out at Inner Aeonia, and then there's a boss that you can farm from there. And just a quick correction, it's really not a boss you're gonna farm here, but rather just an NPC that spawns regularly, and he will drop this. It takes quite a few tries to be able to get it to drop, but he's actually right here. So if you start out at that site of grace at Inner Aeonia and then you run around, you can kind of get behind him right here. He will drop his entire build out, which it's some decent armor actually, but what you're really looking for is that Halo Scythe. And like I said, you can get that pretty early on, and I highly recommend it. This is what I used for a very long time. I'd recommend starting out with that. Regardless of what weapon you're going to start with, a really good option as well is you're going to need a shield. The brass shield you can get very early game. I'm talking like 5-10 minutes into the game. This is one of the best shields I've found in the game personally, and one I would recommend picking up almost immediately. Alright, so basically early game, you're going to want to start out here at gate front. I'm actually going to swap back because we haven't gone through this weapon here yet, but this is the one I've ultimately landed on. But starting from gate front, you can come right over here. These two guards right here. So any guard that has it equipped has the potential to drop it. There's one here, and the other one is here. and I'm extremely high leveled for this. But yeah, if you pillage, look, I just got one, but the drop rate is pretty low. I mean, it took me probably about 20 minutes when I initially farmed this to finally get it to drop. So just, you know, be aware that it could take quite a while. Alright, next up is armor. Basically, whatever armor you can get your hands on that's going to be heavy is going to be super beneficial. One thing I do want to call out is to wear heavy armor, you're going to need extremely high endurance. I'm talking really high. One thing that I kind of farmed to early on was 25-30 endurance, just because naturally that's going to give you a really high amount of stamina and equipment load right off the bat. You can always supplement it with some talismans. A great one that you're going to get pretty early on as well is going to be the Arsenal Charm. I want to say you get that in Godric's Castle, if I remember right, but I'll follow up later with you know, kind of where to grab that and where you can pick that up. Landing on the Great Jar's Arsenal is the best one that you can get at this point in time. I believe you can also get an Arsenal Charm +2, but I haven't found that quite yet. Great Jar's Arsenal, but you're going to need those to be able to spec up, and another one that you can kind of combine it with is going to be Radigan Scar Seal. This will basically increase, I want to say it increases your vigor, your endurance, your strength, your dex. Like, it increases a ton of your attributes. It increases damage taken as well, but it kind of negates itself with the increase in the stats that it does give you. So going with both of those, I mean, you can see my equipment load is all the way up to 98.5. So I can have full heavy, a shield, and even this greatsword, which is a really high weight. And I'm still only rocking medium load, so I'm not going to be I'm going to be able to still dodge, you know, pretty well. One thing that I didn't touch base on is with the brass shield, you're gonna want to get the barricade shield ash on that. You can get that very, very early game as well. We can go through where you can find that here in a minute, but that's something you're going to put on there. What that does is that basically reduces all incoming damage, and it makes it so when you're blocking, you're not going to take stamina reduction, which is super huge, because then you can basically square right up with a boss and take a huge amount of damage. Highly recommend. Right off the bat, there is something I do want to show you. So you can actually farm the Banished Knight armor. It's kind of hard to get to, but we'll go ahead and pop over there now. Once you make your way to Stormvale Castle, you're going to want to start out here in Rampart Tower. From Rampart Tower, you're going to head up and out, taking out whatever you can along the way. So just follow this path that I'm taking here, and you really don't need to pick out the NPCs along the way. I usually just avoid them. I would recommend clearing this before farming these, and then coming back when you have some decent points stacked up. A lot of these enemies are going to be pretty difficult early on, and it just really wouldn't be feasible to farm it super early, but I think I went back and farmed it at like level 35-40, so it is definitely doable. So you're basically going for these Brandished Knights, and this one not particularly, but you will need to clear those, otherwise they're going to come after you. I think you can potentially skip them, but I'm really not sure. After you clear those, you're going to want to come down this ladder here. You have to take these guys out. Like I said, the higher level you come here, the easier it's actually going to be. These are the guys that we're concerned about. Him here, and there's going to be one off to the right, him here. And this is really the one that we want his armor from, right there. You get that early game, that's exceptional armor. And so basically what I would do is farm those and go back and start again back at Rampart Tower, and you're just going to keep doing that run, trying to get whatever you can out of this guy right here, and hopefully it drops. You can always supplement with, where is it, with a, I actually don't have any, but with it, there is a pickled foulfoot that will increase item drop for a time. You can always supplement with that, which helps actually a ton, and I always recommend using those and stocking up on those. You can farm materials to be able to create those as well, which is something that, you know, is good to keep in mind that you have the option to do. So starting out with that armor is a good option. Like you can see here, I still keep the helm. The helm is comparable to any late game armor you're gonna find. It's, you know, it's not quite as good, but it's comparable. It's gonna have slightly less weight, which is why I keep it. And I mean, it looks great, obviously. However, the best armor you're going to be able to find, I would say, mid-game, after you go through and farm that armor. You can use that all the way, I want to say, through clearing Liurnia, and then clearing Caelid. But once you fight Radahn, then you're going to want to switch to Radahn's armor, and by then you're gonna probably need about 30 endurance in order to be able to wear full Radahn armor. I just switched from Radahn, but I do still keep his gauntlets and his greaves. And yeah, basically you're gonna want full Radahn armor. You can swap for the Banished Knight helm just because it is pretty decent. It is pretty decent, like I said, and I just kind of like the aesthetic of it, and it's slightly less weight than Radahn's helmet, and it's very, very similar damage, negation, and resistance specs. Recently I just switched to the Veteran's armor. This you would obtain from a boss right here. So the Veteran's armor you're gonna find in the Castle Soul rooftop from the boss that you're gonna find there. So that's gonna be super late game, but that is slightly better than Radahn's armor, a little more weight. Like I said, I didn't swap the gauntlets and the greaves for that, or the helm, just to kind of save a little weight, because you are going to need both the shield and the sword to kind of coincide with this build. Finally, this sword you can get pretty early game as well. This is what I landed on. So I used the Halo Scythe for a long portion of time. You will also get the winged scythe pretty early on. That's a great one to go for early game if you can't make it over to the Halo Scythe to farm. This I actually just landed on, though, is the Blasphemous Blade. You are going to get that when you take out Rykard, the Lord of Blasphemy. Rykard is going to be found right up here. So it's going to be found in Volcano Manor once you reach Rykard, Lord of Blasphemy. Basically, it's a tough battle. You will need to use the serpent, basically the serpent blade, to be able to do it. You're going to find that prior to entering, and I recommend leveling it up to at least level 6 before you enter that battle. You can find a lot of great tutorials on how to do that. But yeah, basically you're going to get that from Rykard, and you're going to have to trade the remembrance. You're going to have to trade the remembrance for it. This sword is incredible. Just want to show you here kind of its, so here's what its ash is going to look like and its power. A ton of range on this, and it's going to hit every enemy along the way. It doesn't stop at an enemy, it goes right through them. So you can clear out entire mobs with this, no problem. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. The best seal so far I've landed on is going to be the Godslayer's seal. This seal, it has incredible face scaling, right? And all seals are basically going to have a ton of face scaling, because that's what you need to be able to use a seal. But there are better seals in the game. This is just so far my favorite, is the Godslayer's seal. Basically because it boosts your Godslayer incantations, which is going to include your Black Flame and your Scarwing Black Flame. So basically what you're going to primarily run when you're clearing mobs is you're going to run your seal and your sword or your scythe. That's it. The main ability you're going to use is going to be this lightning spear, which you can find after locating the dragon called Prayer Book, basically which you get from a Elden Knight that's patrolling the Artist's Shack. Alright, and he's going to be patrolling the Artist's Shack. Basically, the Artist's Shack is going to be in northeast Liurnia, right here. So, and you're going to farm a Elden Knight that's patrolling just south of here. And he's going to drop it for you. He's actually right here. And I want to say the first time you kill him, he drops it immediately, but he's what you're looking for. So right here, Artist Shack, northeast Liurnia. You're gonna go after him. He'll drop it for you, and then you're gonna give it to Brother Corian or Muriel, Pastor of Vows. Brother Corian is basically who I would go for. Early game, he's gonna be in Table of Lost Grace, but once you make it up here and into the Altus Plateau, you can actually find him right here. Not sure why he moves there, but the easiest way to get there is to get this forest spanning Great Bridge, Site of Grace, and then just head south till you get there. And you can purchase this from him. It's going to use about 28 stamina and requires 17 faith to cast, which you should have pretty early on. But yeah, so essentially you're just going to, late game, this is what you're going to do. You're going to be using your Lightning Spear, which is going to do a decent amount of damage. If you charge it up, it will stun them, and then you're just going to pair it with the Blasphemous Blade, which is a huge amount of damage, and it also causes flames to build up. Basically, that's it. I'll have guides showing you where the rest, where you can find the rest of everything from there, and then once I get a better seal located, I'll make an update to this with the enhanced seal as well. But yeah, obviously there's a ton of holy builds in the game, but I hope that helps kind of get you started from mid to more late game on what direction you want to take your holy build. Everything's going to be a super good option for you, but yeah, if you like the video, be sure to like and follow and subscribe. You can also find me streaming on Twitch multiple days a week,